Hello, I'm James Mills and you're watching CATEX-TV, broadcasting live from Princeton, New Jersey. Firstly, I'd like to apologize for the slight delay today in our usual programming time. We had some technical issues over here which needed to be rectified before we could come on the air. I'm glad to say those have now been resolved, and here we are. Firstly, on this day in 1980, 350 million people around the world tune into television's popular primetime drama, Dallas, to find out who shot J.R. Ewing, the character fans loved to hate. J.R. had been shot on the season-ending episode, the previous March 21st, which now stands as one of television's most dramatic cliffhangers. Also on this day, the Britannic, sister ship to the Titanic, sinks in the Aegean Sea in 1916, killing 30 people. More than 1,000 others were rescued. And today's birthdays are Goldie Hawn, who is 63, and Björk, the Icelandic singer and dancer, who is 43. We have no breaking stories today, so we'll go straight to our main news. President-elect Barack Obama plans to nominate Hillary Rodham Clinton as Secretary of State after Thanksgiving, a new milestone of the former First Lady, and a convergence of two political forces who fought hard for the presidency. 1 week after the former primary rivals met secretly to discuss the idea of Clinton becoming the nation's top diplomat, an Obama advisor said yesterday that the two sides were moving quickly towards making it reality, barring any unforeseen problems. The senior advisor, speaking on the condition of anonymity, because the president-elect is not prepared to officially announce the nomination, said Obama believes Clinton would bring instant stature and credibility to U.S. diplomatic relations. Singapore's economy shrank between July and September, confirming it was the first Asian country in recession. In the current financial crisis, the island's economy shrank 6.8% in the third quarter, according to government data, worse than the first estimate of 6.3% the government made last month. Recession is generally defined as being 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. Hong Kong and Japan have since gone into recession as well. Singapore government now forecasts that its economy will shrink by 1% for the whole of 2009. Singapore's economy is expected to face a broad-based slowdown in 2009, said the country's Trade and Industry Ministry. Compared with the same period last year, the economy shrank 0.6%. Japan's central bank kept its key rate unchanged at 0.3% on Friday, which is today, but warned that the economic outlook remains highly uncertain. Bank of Japan's governor, Mr. Sarakawa, expressed doubts that cutting interest rates close to zero would help the economy. He said monetary policies alone were not enough to deal with the crisis. On the 31st of October, the Bank of Japan cut its rates for the first time in 7 years. The Japanese car maker Honda has announced further cuts in production in Japan and Europe as it continues to struggle with a slump in sales. The firm now reduces its global annual output to nearly 150,000 vehicles due to the economic downturn. Rival car maker Toyota has announced plans to cut its domestic temporary workforce in half. The news came as the government downgraded its assessment of Japan's economic outlook. Production will stop temporarily at Honda factories in Japan and in the UK. Its UK plant at Swindon in Wiltshire will be closed for 2 months in February and March next year in response to falling sales. The 500 people who work there will not be paid. Toyota is planning to shut down all its North American factories for 2 days and is now laying off half its temporary workers in Japan, although so far it has avoided cutting any of its permanent employees. Many small companies that supply with parts and services could also find themselves in trouble. And Nissan, once regarded as one of the world's most profitable firms after a huge restructuring and successful partnership with the French firm Renault, has warned that its profits will fall to zero because of the financial situation. Business activity in the 15 countries sharing the euro has fallen in November to a 10-year low. The Purchasing Managers Index PMI has shown. The index, compiled by research group Market, dropped to 39.7 from 43.6 in October. The figure was worse than analysts forecasted, which put the level for November above the 42 mark. According to Market, manufacturing and services in the Eurozone have contracted for 6 months in a row. Market said deterioration in the economic climate was felt by all sectors, with outputs, new orders, outstanding business and purchasing activity all falling to record lows. The companies surveyed by Market blamed the downturn on falling demand. They also mentioned unfavorable exchange rates as a factor which is affecting exports to non-Eurozone trading partners. Citigroup, one of America's biggest banks, as we all know, is now considering selling parts of the company, according to reports in the Wall Street Journal. It is even rumored to be considering merging with another bank. Citigroup shares have lost half of their value this week, as concerns about its financial viability grow. Saudi Prince Al-Walid bin Talal's decision to buy about $350 million of shares on Thursday did not calm investors' nerves. Citigroup shares continued their downward slide, losing more than a quarter of their value on Thursday. Investors are worried that future losses could threaten the bank's failure. Despite this, officials have said the company has ample capital, funding and strategic direction. US politicians have told the crisis-hit Big Three car makers to come up with their own viable recovery plan if they want a $25 billion government rescue. As most of us know, the automotive industry has been badly hit with the current recession, and are actually having talks with the government right now as we speak, and hopefully there will be some resolution to this. Anyone looking at buying a new car or watching the TV will see that there are very good deals out there for those of us who can actually afford any cars. The leaders of both houses of Congress said Ford, General Motors and Chrysler had until the 2nd of December to present a plan. Their comments came after 4 senators, Republicans and Democrats, said they had agreed a bipartisan aid deal. The White House said President George W. Bush favored their deal, which would have used an Energy Department loan. This is an agreement the President could support, said White House spokeswoman Dana Perino. We encourage the Congress to pass it as soon as possible. But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said there would be no bailout without a plan showing that the money would make the firms financially viable. Until they show us a plan, we cannot show them the money, she said. Henry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, said that the motor industry leaders needed to get their act together. The executives of the auto industry have not been able to convince the American people or the Congress that this bailout would be their last, he added. After the car industry executives returned to Washington on the 2nd of December this year, Congress would reconvene the following week to vote on the bailout bill. But time is short. The car makers have suffered a collapse in sales, and General Motors says it will run out of money early next year. And actually anyone watching or following the stock market will see that General Motors shares have actually dropped by about $4 over the last month. However, on to oil prices. Oil prices have fallen below $50 a barrel, and anyone driving to work will see a notable reduction in their sort of financial expenditure on petroleum. This is actually for the first time since May 2005, amid fears of a recession and explanations that demand will go up. US light sweet crude fell to $49.62, while London traded Brent crude fell to $48